Indonesia exists out of 8,844 islands and is for many people the ultimate holiday destination. Though many people do not know about the potential developed by Indonesia in the last decade. Indonesia is the emerging secret of Asia, which has the ability to stay unaffected by the global financial crisis. Indonesia has realized that raising the country's growth rate to 7% by 2013 requires a more and more foreign direct investment. The government realizes that to achieve this, a substantial improvement in Indonesia's investment climate is crucial. So far, unfortunately, Indonesia focused more on small projects aiming at quick profits rather than long-term and riskier projects such as infrastructure and in the mining sector, where investment is definitely needed. The increase in FDI did Indonesia very well. It created jobs, increased productivity growth, and opened doors to the global market. Though Indonesia needs some improvements to keep the investors for a long time period. Indonesia needs to maintain economic and political stability and improve the financial regulatory framework to reduce corruption, gaining public trust by policy making, transparency and equity, and ensuring that government policies realistically reflect current conditions and adapt to changing economic and business conditions. Economic and political uncertainty was once considered one of investors' greatest concerns. In the past few years, Indonesia's investment environment has greatly improved and the rules have become more predictable. Additionally, Indonesia continues to face low competitiveness because of bad infrastructure and no skilled labor, plus no technology gain from FDI. As mentioned earlier, Indonesia has spent more in short-term projects where the profit would show within a year. Now it is time for the government to invest in its infrastructure, roads, railways, power plants, to support sustained growth. Additionally, Indonesia needs to improve the educational system. 70% of the population only has a high school diploma. To increase the competitiveness, Indonesia needs to improve its labor skills, especially if Indonesia is planning to gain more technology with the increase of foreign direct investment. Indonesia has many islands, as mentioned before, and it is also culturally diverse. Decentralization of the government leads to corruption and inefficiency. Therefore, several actions need to be taken to fight corruption and also improve the infrastructure. Strengthen logistical and communications infrastructure linking the provinces to expand trade, encourage economic specialization, and open internal competition.
Hi, I'm Minyo. I am currently living in Indonesia. I previously studied in Canada, hence the non-Indonesian accent. But I've been living in Indonesia since university has finished. So yeah. The government definitely needs to put more funding into our education system as well as our other businesses. In regards to our education system, our system is not up to par compared to other Asian countries such as Japan, South Korea, China. It's not up there to be able to compete with such big countries to be able to get a bigger share of our Asian market. And regarding our businesses, we need to put more funding into those for them to be able to reach out and grab a hold of that Asian market to be more competitive and to prosper regarding its international businesses or anything of that sort. They just need more funding to be able to grow a little bit more. There is definitely a big gap regarding Indonesian high schools to Canadian universities. I, for one, had to take an English proficiency exam, which obviously states how well we can speak English and write in English and things like that. But there was also some classes in math, science, as well as a social studies class that we had never heard of before in Indonesia. And so I had to take that when I got to Canada. And so those were extra things that I had to do when I got there, even though I already had a high school diploma. So I do go back to Indonesia every year, usually around the summertime. And I have seen several changes within the infrastructure, that's for sure. Now there's new high-rise buildings as well as brand new highways, and that's really great. But if you turn into a different road or you turn into a different little sidewalk, you do seem to get into some sketchy areas where you will find bumpy roadways, unpaved sidewalks, even roads that are just gravel. So it's a little bit of a mix of old Indonesia and new Indonesia. And so I think they're still slowly working their way into that Western way of infrastructure. So prior to the 1998 change between the democracy and the Communist Party, prior to 1998, we were ruled by a Communist Party, which is drastically different from today's Indonesia, which is now a democratic country. And judging from the transparency that we see now, it's very, very different from what people had encountered back then. Considering the stories that you would hear from your grandparents from back when they were in a communist country to the stories that modern day Indonesian would tell you, you do see a very, very big difference, and it's fascinating how different these stories are, because it shows you how much change can happen in such little time. And to be now a democratic country, it's amazing to be able to have freedom and not have to worry about what you say or do and be punished for that, as my grandparents have told me previously. And so being a democratic country has been great for Indonesia. So honestly speaking, I do believe that the country has always been very diverse within the culture aspect, considering how many islands that Indonesia has. But within the past few years, coming back each year, it does seem that there's more nationalities being represented within the streets of Indonesia, and it continues to be more and more nationalities being visible within the streets, and I believe that it's only going to keep continuing, which is a great thing considering how Indonesia is becoming more international and more widespread in regards to its business culture.